Hi, I'm Mark Taylor, and it's time again for the Mark Taylor Show. This week's guest is a local expert on the Eastern Cougar, Wayne Bowmaster. Welcome to the show, Wayne.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Well, I guess you're a local boy.
Yep.
You lived in the area all your life?
Yes, I did. I was brought up in Flume Ridge.
Okay.
30 miles north of Frederick, St. Stephen there, yeah.
Okay. So, and I guess we had talked on the phone a few times now. And where did you, like this whole thing with the Eastern Cougar, where did you first become aware of them?
I became aware of them when I was in Flume Ridge, of course, being in the country, hunted and stuff like that.
Yep.
And, so there's two different things that come to mind there. We had a couple of pigs on the farm, and one night at about midnight, we heard just squealing, pig squealing.
Okay.
So at the time, we didn't know what was going on, but it turned out that after we got our bearings, went over and checked the pen, one of the pigs was missing, and the other one had a scratch down his back. So this is midnight now, mind you, so there's not much you can do as far as find out what's going on.
Nope.
And anyway, everything quieted down, and about half an hour later, we heard the pig squeal one more time down in the woods, and that was the end of it. We never heard it again.
Oh.
So the next morning, tried to trace it, and you could see where it was dragged down through the garden behind the barn. So, an animal took it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But I'm not sure it was a cougar or what it was that took it, but,
yeah.
At the time, So that part went on, and well then, my cousin and I, we were all hunters, and we were hunting down across the Macadavy River, down towards Camp 83 Road there.
Okay.
And there was three of us in a party, and we split up. And the signal was that if somebody got a deer, you waited a couple minutes and fired a shot, and then we knew if somebody had something, we'd go back and help get it out.
Right.
So I stopped at this road, and the other guy went in the center road, and the other guy went on. So, and we were supposed to give 5 minutes, so start our hunt. So we heard a shot, and everybody did what they're supposed to do. So my cousin and I, we met at the intersection where the center guy went. And we were just standing there talking, what happened, what he got or whatever, and all of a sudden this animal let a screech out of it. And Mark, as soon as I sit in this chair, the hair stood right up in the back of my neck, and I'm sure James did the same.
I heard it's an eerie sound.
Oh, it's something you will never forget, and you can't duplicate it either.
Right.
And you know something? We never talked about that. We blanked it.
Right.
That's how severe it was. Now, that wasn't very far away.
No.
Because it smelled the blood from that deer kill or whatever.
Yeah.
We were in their territory. So anyway, that was, that registered.
Okay.
So that was about as far as...
That's where you got started. There.
Yeah. And then one night when I was home there, I heard one screeching, when we were kids there too.
Yeah.
But after that, time went on, education went on.
I've heard people liken it to a woman's scream or a baby's cry or something like that. Does that sound accurate, or what would you compare it to?
It's more severe than that.
Okay.
More piercing.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing really you could compare it to. Then.
No, you couldn't make that noise.
Okay.
No.
Wait, well, why the Eastern Cougar? Is there other cougars like say the ones that are out in say Alberta and places? They're a different breed or a different size. What's the difference?
My 2 cents worth on it is I think the Western Cougars are a bigger cougar because they got more habitat. They're higher mountains, and they got to be bigger and stronger to survive.
Right.
And in our territory here, they say they're not here because they were all killed off years back, but they've made a comeback.
Yep.
And they don't want to admit they're here because
obviously there are skeptics, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, and they don't want to get in the habitat. That's another thing right there.
Right.
So that's a big thing. So so I was married, and then I went through a divorce there, and I was looking at another piece of land, so I bought this piece of property in Bayside from a guy out in Wolf, and anyway, he was going to put a restaurant there at one time, but he said he wouldn't, so I bought it, and I had gone through the divorce, so I was rooming in St. Stephen. I still worked for the telephone company, and it was good. It was all growing up new growth, so I went and cleared that, and that was good for me to go through the divorce, for mental.
Yep.
So anyway, I bought a little trailer there when I was getting ready to retire in '98, and I put it down there just for a place to put my stuff in, and maybe say weekend or something like that.
Yep.
So anyway, that happened, and so when NBTel went Liant, I retired in '98.
Okay.
And I moved down there in the spring of '99. So when I moved down there, I started getting this growling at night. And it was enough to, you made you wonder what it was. So anyway, I couldn't see anything. So I told a couple of retired forest rangers about it. So Lee Waldron, he was passed away now, but he came down and he caught a few raccoons, but it went into money after a while because you can't do that for nothing.
No.
So, and there can be up to 15 in the Combat Inn, and so just let it go. And so then one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, I took a hit. The trailer took a hit. And I just froze. I didn't know what it was.
You thought it might have been a burglar or something?
Well, yeah, but I mean at the time.
Burglar wouldn't be doing something like that.
Well, even that, but anyway, it still startled me, and I couldn't. So I never went back to sleep till time to get up to go, and I was up, go to Tim Hortons in the morning to have coffee.
Yep.
So I beat her up there, and anyway, still bothered me as to what it was. So when I went to leave that morning, I opened the door to go out, and went to close the door, it wouldn't close. So the door was ajar, about that far out at the top, a couple inches out at the top.
Wow.
It was sprung. Something tried to snap that door open.
Yeah.
So Lee said it was probably a bear. Well, I mean, I can't prove one way or the other. But anyway, so just let it go with that. And time went on, and one day I found a footprint by a spruce tree. And I called Lee, and he came down and looked at it. And he got the guy to bring the bear trap over from St. George.
Okay.
Tried to dismiss it as a bear. But when the guy brought the bear trap over, he said, "That looks like a cougar track to me." And Lee said, "No, that's a bear track." He said, "But they were trying to keep me from hearing that word."
Yep.
That was on a Friday.
Okay.
And I was supposed to be able to keep it there until we caught something. So I went to St. Stephen and I got some black earth and put it all around the bear trap and thinking I'd get a print.
Yep.
So, of course, I'm greened all this at the time, So I'm thinking, so all right. But that didn't work. So Monday morning, I got a call from the forest ranger. We're taking that bear trap out of there. I said, well, I thought I could keep it for as long as they needed it. No, we need it somewhere else. So they took it. I've never seen it again.
Now, it was going to be a live trap is what
it was. A live trap.
Yeah.
A live trap. And but they didn't want to catch anything, see.
No.
That's the thing why they took it out of there.
Yeah.
Because Lee knew that was a cougar track as well as I did,
Yeah.
And, so then where I worked for the telephone company, I was able to do all my wiring stuff, set up all my cameras and lights and all this stuff, which came in handy.
Yep.
So I had a center post in the middle, like a piece of 4-inch conduit where I took all my wires into and videos and stuff like that when I wanted to change locations for the cameras.
Yep.
So anyway, I had my camera sitting over looking at a view. I got a nice view of the St. Croix River.
Yeah.
And I move it back in the fall like I did back then, and it was warmer, So one day I took the tractor and it was rattling and banging, and I moved the trailer back over. So I had to go and redo my wires and stuff to have power and telephone over to the trailer,
Yep.
So anyway, this was about noontime, and this was a startle. And I've got a picture of where the animal was. I got a plaster Paris of where it was, but I didn't see the animal. Okay. Anyway, I remember having the country music going in the truck there, sitting there listening to that while I was working on the wire and stuff. And I got all done, and so I backed the truck over with my material on it to hook the stuff up at the trailer. Well, when I got there were these prints in the ground, fresh prints. And it startled me because they just weren't normal,
No.
And so, so I didn't know. So anyway, it kind of made me nervous. So I didn't know anyway, and so I just didn't do anything right then. I went to St. Stephen. I got some plaster Paris. I'm going to make a plaster Paris of that. So I made took a 14-inch perimeter to make the plaster Paris of that animal.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. But prior to that, at noontime, I heard this, like somebody lost. It was hunting season. It was October.
Yeah.
I heard this noise coming up through the woods. But I thought it was just a lost hunter or something coming towards the road, I never thought of anything. And the birds were flying, and all of a sudden it was quiet. Now, that animal was there where it made them prints, looking right at me by a spruce tree, and where I was working at that wiring, and I didn't know it.
Right.
And that really freaked me out.
Yeah.
And anyway, so...
You're being watched.
I took a picture of that.
I think you're intruding, I think is what we would call it.
I am an intruder, and they're very territorial.
Yep.
And they've let me know it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I took a picture of that. It's 49 feet from me, is where those prints were when I was working at that wire.
Yep.
So it could have took me out if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go on from there, and I got another trailer later on, a 24-foot travel trailer, because, like I say, you go through a divorce, you have to rebuild.
Yep.
And,
yeah.
So move one step at a time. So anyway, at 3 o'clock one morning, I took another hit on that one, and it was just above the it's a double bunk, say, the top bunk where the little window is.
Yep.
And
another bang on the side of the building.
Yeah. No, I must have been maybe snoring. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you do what you don't like. Well, but anyway, it woke me up. It was growling, and I heard this growl, and I heard this bang. Well, again, but I had a gun there then because I was, I was a little leery. Eh?
Yep.
So not that I needed it, but it's just I had it there. So the next day I went out and looked to see what was going on, and there was a print up beside that little window on the top bunk, the size of a softball.
Okay.
Now, the key to that is there's no claw marks.
Right.
A bear would be claw marks.
Yep.
And also, every animal, those cougars, if you take their prints, they're within a foot.
Yep.
Okay? I don't care, take any cougar, but they walk toes in.
Yep.
And so anyway, I started looking for another mark somewhere, and I found it. It had put its claw in the flashing on the roof of the trailer. I put a 4-inch spike in that claw.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And took a rule. I got pictures to show that.
Yeah.
And it was in a foot where that mark was to where that spike was.
Wow.
8 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
So that was a long animal to reach straight there.
You want to believe it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but then again, I have to live with that. I'm there. That's my home, okay?
Yeah.
So time went on. I kept running my cameras. I got links, and I got different footage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then I got a mini home because I got hurt there one time. My daughter said, "Dad, you're going to get an apartment or something. You're not staying there any longer. You got to get." So anyway, I got a mini home, and that's there now. And I put that in there in 2005. And my daughter was sick and fretting there one time, so I went up there for 2 or 3 days after I got that. And I come home after she got feeling better, and I was hungry, and I didn't have too much there, and so I had some bagels in the freezer. So I took the bagels out and put it in the toaster, but I didn't have a bagel toaster. I was roughing it,
Yep.
Didn't have all the new styles.
No.
Anyway, so the toaster, it caught in the toaster, and of course they burnt.
Right.
And they set the smoke alarms off in the mini home. And there's 2, and they are sharp.
Yep.
And I opened the window over the sink and got towels going, the fan, and get it quieted down and all that stuff. So anyway, got that cleared out, went over and got another bagel and had my toast, and closed the window up. But those windows have locks on them. But I didn't. I just pushed it up.
Yeah.
Went to bed. Got up next morning, go for coffee some more at St. Stephen, 6:30, because I didn't sleep. You don't sleep in because when I get up at 6:30 in the morning, because we go up there and discuss current events and get you going, motivated. So I went up that morning, start my car, and just got the car going, and I heard this ungodly thump inside the mini home. Well,
inside.
Well, you can imagine what was that?
Yeah.
Well, I went in through. The window was laying in the kitchen, in the middle of the kitchen floor. So I went over, picked the window up, took it back over and put it in its place, locked it, went out and got in the car and took off for St. Stephen. Because it wasn't even daylight,
Yeah.
And so then when I come back, I loaded the shotgun.
Yeah.
Over to the patio doors, walked out to where the damage was done, and sure enough, it had hit that mini home right beside where the windows come together and snapped that right out of the socket there.
Okay. Right out of the casing.
Yeah. And it was another 8-foot measurement, and I put a nickel at the toes on the side of the mini home and took pictures.
Yeah.
So they marked their territory.
Yep.
Now, I live there with him. They respect me.
Yep.
People might think I'm crazy. I don't care what they think. But I live there, and they live there. They respect me, and I'm probably safer there than anybody. And I've got footage to no end. And I've got panthers. I got a wolf that don't exist in New Brunswick either.
Yep.
And so anyway, no, it's been experience, and because of my technical abilities, I've been able to capitalize on all this stuff. And but that's been my life for the last.
Yes. So you've got some proof of the existence of them, and you give me 3 pictures here that I'm going to hold up, and you can basically just tell me what they are. Let's one here. This is one obviously was taken at night.
It's on a game camera, yeah, and that animal right there is ready for anything. His claws are protruded. That means they're ready to attack. His legs are crossed on the front.
Okay.
Got the black tip in the tail. It's an eastern cougar, no question.
Yep. Okay. This one here is in color. This is you took in the daytime.
That's an eastern cougar too, but that cougar is, I would say, old. He's over that's 16
on a diet, I'd say.
Yeah, well, he's 20 inches high at the hips there.
Right.
But he's thin and he's old, you know. But it's still an eastern cougar. So.
Okay. And this is the third one you have here. This is a.
Now this is an eastern cougar, and if you enhance that more, it's even better.
Yep.
And that's about 4.5 feet long. And that's what I got just recently.
Yep.
On the game camera.
So these are all.
And these are all in the same location.
Okay.
Taken the same location.
So how many do you think there's around your place?
Oh, I've got. If I was to show you all the species I have, probably over the years. I mean, they have a lifespan, but they come and go. And I don't know, probably 30 or 40 different.
Yeah, you're obviously, if you've got cubs and stuff that are around, there's males and females.
Males and females. The males, females are more territory, like they stay closer because the kid with the young ones.
Yep.
They're more social.
Okay.
And that's why you see more mothers and cubs than you do males. They have a 25-mile radius. Like, say Lawrence Station was the nucleus for my area.
Right.
They go to McAdam, they go to Harvey, they go to out Scotch Ridge, and then they come down to St. Andrews.
Okay. Just roam around.
Yeah, the male would, yeah. He'd have a 25-mile.
Now, you've mentioned that you've had some encounters with natural resources and government officials.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's a reluctance to admit it? Why do you think they are denying the existence of them?
Well, I just think they don't want to give them the habitat. That's personally my opinion, you know, so. I don't know. People should know, and I think they do know they're here. There's been sightings. People say there's sightings, but Don McAlpine is still saying there isn't any, and nobody's getting any pictures. Well, I dispute them.
Right, and you've talked to people like you who've seen them and things like that. So there's no, you know, if enough people are saying it,
well, yeah, it don't seem to make any difference.
No.
Greg Thompson saw one here not too long ago up here in Bayside.
Okay.
He got brushed it off too. You know?
Yep. Nobody wants to admit it.
No. But I have the icing on the cake. I have a mother and 2 cubs, and that means habitat.
Right.
And that's my ace in the hole.
Okay.
So they can go on and on and on and talk about there's no cougars, no cougars, no cougars, and I'll keep running my cameras, but I've already got what I need.
Yep.
So.
So what do you have for devices? Like, do you have a?
Well, I have infrared wireless remote cameras.
Right.
I did have a infrared camera, a high price one at first, but. It wasn't as good as what I've got now, and so I can move it around. It's wireless, and I can maneuver it better and set up my. And they're 25, 30-foot shots, you know.
Okay.
But I used to have a spotlight, which was bright, and it didn't show the quality. But now I got a quartz light on it there, and it's sometimes almost too bright. It looks kind of white instead of tan.
Okay.
But when you get them on the infrared, they're tan.
Okay.
But they look light.
Right.
But you'd almost sprinkle down by now, you know, when they're lit up. But they're big cats, yeah.
So you're getting pictures in the daytime, obviously, and nighttime.
No, mostly night.
Mostly night, because
they're nocturnal.
Right.
And they nocturnal more so in habitat, you know, where you live, you know, because in the daytime if they got a large woods area, they hunt during the day, but they don't in Bayside.
And you think, or I guess you know, because you when you moved there first, you run into a den that you thought maybe was a bear or something. You really didn't know what it was at the time.
Well, that's the den I'm talking about. Yeah, I thought it was a bear's den because there was no talk of cougars or anything at that time, and there was a limb broke off about a little farther than I could reach, and it was a half-inch limb, eh?
Right.
So it took something quite heavy to break that off. So I'm thinking a bear, but then again, see, cougar can reach 8 feet. I know that now for sure.
Yeah, at the time you didn't know.
No.
And never dawned on you.
But, you know, when after all this took place, after I had all those things happen to me, I remember the piece of ground there before I covered it over.
Right.
And it was a ledge shelf facing southwest, okay, right in the afternoon sun.
Right.
And it was at a shelf out over to protect the rain and stuff. And the perimeter had an old rail fence and page wire fence and thorn bushes.
Okay.
Now, what more protection would they want from anybody coming in?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful maternal den.
Yeah.
It was.
Exactly.
And I could open that up today, but but I don't have to because their scent trail still leads there.
Right. So you've run into, obviously, if you've gotten that close to things, you've gathered hair samples and things like that.
Yeah. Well, yes, I did, but I think I got taken to the cleaners. I can't prove anything, but on that part of it, because I do things in good faith. I trust people.
You passed these on to people.
Yeah, I did.
thinking they were going to give you some feedback.
Well, I thought they would help me with this, and prove they were here. I didn't know I was getting into the mess I get into. So, I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Well, no, I mean, because I think you told me you went to Fundy National Park.
Well, I went to Fundy National Park, and I talked to a guy. I don't know.
Was he a biologist or something?
Yeah, he was a curator of Fundy National Park.
Right. Okay.
And anyway, I was
invited. You gathered all your materials up that you had.
Yeah, but I was invited to go there from a biologist in Nova Scotia, Bob Bancroft, because I had gone down there with my material and showed him, and
right. He was hair samples and pictures and paw prints and all the stuff you have.
Yeah, plaster pairs and everything like that. Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, when I got down there, he had a letter from Fundy National Park inviting me to contact them. So I did.
Okay.
And he invited me up. So I took a 45-minute video with me. And I showed it. He brought all his boys in to see it. And
right.
I gave him 20 hair samples.
Okay.
Now, I can't prove a thing, okay?
Right.
But I never had nothing signed or anything. I gave it to him in good faith.
Right.
Now, he can't use some pictures because they are copies. I have all the original.
Right.
So, there was a story down on Eastern Woods and Waters on cougars. And I felt that a lot of that information came from the material I had given Fundy National Park.
Right.
So I called Eastern Woods and Waters up and I asked them about that, and they said, "What?" And I said, "Yep." And so anyway, I said, "Well, when we do a second story, now I have the proof."
Because they didn't have any pictures in the story.
There was no pictures in the first story. No, because they didn't have the right to put them out.
No.
So they said, "Well, we will do a second story." Now I have an audio of the conversation with Saltscapes magazine on the second story as to why we were going to do that.
Right.
But he said, "We're going to need some pictures." I said, "Fine." So I sent him 3 pictures. Now I had those pictures right here today on the magazine.
Yep.
And they did the second story.
Right.
That was the end of Fundy National Park. Never heard tell of them again.
No.
So I wouldn't have talked to them anyway because, I mean, if they... So anyway, the 20 hair samples, well, I can't prove that any of them are mine, although I suspect that one of them, at least one of them was mine.
Yeah.
Because there was 2 positive IDs done right away after that.
Right.
And one was at a Western cougar, and the other was a South American cougar, and they even had the audacity to say, "Wonder where that came from."
Yeah.
Well, you know what my theory is of that South American cougar?
Well, I guess I got a good guess. You tell me.
Well, I think it came up on the tuna boats when they came out of South America.
That's where they used to come from, that area, right?
And no doubt. And I had that South America cougar on camera, and I took the hair sample to Fundy National Park that I retrieved from that cat.
Yep.
So I believe that cat was mine, but I can't prove it, like I said.
Right. Okay.
So now I'm very careful with all my.
So you basically
they made me very, very, very reserved.
Right. So you wanted to come on the show and basically just share your stories.
Well,
I find this fascinating. I mean, this is amazing stuff that people.
But the cats, they haven't hurt me.
No, they haven't.
And they have no reason to hurt me. As long as they've got their own food, they're not going to bother anybody. And
if you invade their space, if you get a little too close, you'll know.
You know, when you to watch them come out at night,
yep,
they stop before they come out.
Right.
They come to the perimeter where they're going to come out,
yep,
and they stop, and they wait and wait and wait and see if things changed.
Yep.
I mean, they're beautiful, smart animal, intelligent animal.
And I guess they know by now that you're not going to cause any harm to them.
And I'm safer probably there than anybody else. But like I said, my scent's all over everything there, see?
Yep.
But I did get one bad scare there one day. I was down there. And I
was going to ask you, how close have you ever really
Well, I got about 50 feet from one day, and I know it was there, but it scared me so bad.
As fast as they could run, seconds and you'd be gone.
They can take you out in 35 feet.
Yeah. You wouldn't have a chance.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had to pick up a table to take up to my sister, so I was going to go over and pick it up and bring it over and put it on the truck. I started across the yard, and this thing made a noise over the bank, a real loud growl.
Yeah.
It made me stop, take notice.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, so I took the truck over.
Okay.
That's how leery I was of what was there.
Yeah.
I never seen anything, but something was there.
Yeah, you want to believe it.
Yeah.
So you've had some newspaper stories and of your encounters and things like that you've talked about. Because like you were, Telegraph Journal did a story on it, or Marty Klinkenberg.
Marty Klinkenberg
was there at the time.
He did a beautiful story on that. Yeah, and he gave me a great write up. And but again, it was all negativity as far as everybody else was concerned.
Well, I guess a lot of people, Wayne, is that seeing is believing, and that's kind of what bringing these pictures on here will hopefully. I mean, I realize they're like ghosts, they're like a lot of things. People haven't seen them, they don't believe in them, but I think your stories and that your pictures will go a long ways to prove.
Well, yeah, I know that they do prove it, but they are very. I can't give you enough compassion about those animals because their movements are so unique.
Yeah.
They just slip away. Like they're just they call it stealth. Like I watched one time there. It was behind a blind when I was hunting there, and it was wet that day in his back. You know, I've seen them in the open too. I mean, and I'll tell you another thing I think has got going for me. When I worked for the telephone company, we were troubleshooters, you know, and our eyes were always searching for stuff.
Yep.
And I think I've got a quick eye, like for movement.
Yep.
And I think I've seen a lot of cougars in the wild, you know, like on the roads. Even one down here near the Wash Lake, I saw one not too long ago.
What do people tell you they are? Like how do they discredit you? They
go, they call them a wolf or a fox or something. I mean, you're not seeing the right thing. No, not necessarily house cat.
When people wouldn't try to say that. I mean, how do they explain your stories?
They're too big for a house cat.
Yeah. But this has been fascinating, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
But I'm see, the reason I contacted you was because you're a country boy, and if anybody who could relate to this, it'd be you.
Yep.
And so.
Well, as I say, this has been fascinating, and maybe there's another show here, and if there is, then
we'll show the other. We'll show the mother and the two cubs.
You got your ace in the hole,
and I might have another one before that.
Exactly.
The cameras are still running.
You want to believe it. So I'm sure you've got some cards that you're not showing, and I appreciate that.
Well, but, after being burnt, why would you?
Exactly.
You know, there's an old saying, a child once burnt, twice shy.
You got her, man. Right on. Well, this has been another amazing and interesting show episode of the Mark Taylor Show. I want to thank you for joining in, and please join in again next time. Thank you.